Hello and welcome to Mike and Slane at Night, and my name is Patrick Slane, and I am joined by my other hosts,
Michael Edgley
and Dallas Durr.
And today we have a very special guest on our program, Senator Kay Hagan. How are you doing today, Senator?
Patrick, I am doing just great, and I didn't get the name of your co-host.
Oh, Michael Edgley, sorry.
And I am Dallas Durr. It's a pleasure to be talking to you.
Great.
Yes. And Senator, without any further ado, we're just going to jump right into it. So, where did you go to school?
Is it Mike or Michael?
Oh,
Michael's fine. Michael's fine.
Michael. Okay, great.
All right. So, Senator, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Where did you go to school, Senator?
Well, first let me say I am a huge fan of High Point University.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's right in my back door. I think President Nito Quabain has done an outstanding job. And I just want to give a huge shout-out to all the students at High Point University. I actually went to, I was born in North Carolina, but I grew up in Central Florida. And I went to Florida State University, and then I got my law degree from Wake Forest.
Very, very cool. So, have you been following the basketball season at all then?
I love ACC basketball. There's nothing I like better than ACC basketball.
Very, very cool. Senator Kay Hagan, what did you study while you were in school?
I was always a very good student. I loved education. I loved the whole process. When I was growing up, I had an older brother and a younger brother. And my older brother is an engineer, and so he was always very talented in the sciences. I ended up doing... In undergraduate, I did a major in American Studies, which is primarily history and English. But I loved meteorology, loved math, all of those courses. And I also was a former ballet dancer. So my early major was ballet, and then I ended up actually changing that to the American Studies. And then I went to law school. And after I graduated early from Florida State, and I went up to Capitol Hill, where I actually was an intern on the Hill from January to June for then U.S. Senator Lawton Chiles. And then I went straight to law school. But I really do encourage all of the students at some point while they're in college, get involved in a political campaign because it opens many, many doors.
Very cool, very cool. So, your first couple jobs in politics and your first internships, how did you go about getting that job, and what did you do to really put yourself out there?
Well, it's interesting. When I was growing up, my dad was mayor. He had been on city council and mayor, so I was involved in that. But then I had an uncle who was in, this was when I was in Central Florida. He was in the state house and state senate in Florida, and then he ran for the United States Senate. And so I was always very involved. And he had, his children are the same age as I am. So we were very close as families, very close first cousins. And I can remember years ago at a shopping center putting bumper stickers on people's cars with my uncle's name on it, Lawton Chiles. And so I actually did do that internship up here. But, you know, I have incredible number of volunteers on my campaign teams when I ran for the state senate representing Guilford County, representing High Point. And it's really interesting. A student at UNCG who had a class, political science class, where they were required to get involved in a campaign. I actually ended up hiring her after she graduated, and to this day, she is my state director. So she actually worked with me for about 13 years.
That is very awesome.
Senator, did you always see yourself serving in government, or was there ever a time when you wanted to be an astronaut or a firefighter or something else like that?
You know, I certainly did not see myself in politics all the time. When I was growing up, it was when some of the first astronauts did go up, and I can remember writing down a little note card when I was X years old that John Glenn orbited the Earth. So and we would always, when the rockets went up, we would watch it on TV, then run outside and watch the plume as it went by. And as I said, I was always very encouraged. I always loved education. But I did study ballet and was always involved in politics from a very young age. And I really think it's important for women to get involved. If you look historically, women need to be recruited to run for public office. It's still to this day. Men just jump right on in. But so whenever I'm with a group of students, I always encourage everybody to think about running one day. And one thing is we need young people to run for public office. Not only do we need them to run for public office, we need them to get engaged and actually exercise their constitutional right to vote.
Yeah, very, very true.
And now in 2014, women should not have to wait to be recruited to run.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Now, Senator Hagan, who are some of your heroes and why?
I think, I have to go to my parents. My parents gave me a great background, a great background in understanding the importance of education, understanding the importance of giving back. My father's a workaholic, and he grew up very, very poor, not even knowing what poor meant. He grew up on a tobacco farm with no indoor plumbing. And he can remember when the WPA came in and put in their first outhouses. And he is a very, very successful businessman today. And it's all, as he says, dependent because of the education that he availed himself of. I think my mother passed away when I was quite young, but I have some women. My aunt, who was Lawton Charles's wife, the U.S. Senator's wife, is a very strong woman. One of their children was blind, their daughter, and I sort of was her eyes and spent quite a bit of time in that family structure. And my Aunt Rhea is an artist, but she's also just a very talented, strong woman. And then I have another aunt, my dad's sister. Her name was Margaret Perry. And she was the registrar at Wake Forest for over 50 years. Wow. And I can remember her telling me when they moved from signing up for classes on paper and then going to the computer, and just about the difference in proficiency and the difference in the time it took. But it was a big, big move for somebody like my aunt to be able to get her hands around moving from a paper office to a computer office. And so she too was a what I would call a mentor.
Sounds like you got an amazing family over there.
I haven't even told you about my kids.
Feel free if you want.
Two are scientists. One's a banker who minored in Chinese.
Very cool. Where did they attend then? Did they follow in your footsteps or go somewhere else?
My older daughter went to Caltech, and which is got into MIT and Caltech and went to Caltech and then got her PhD at UC Santa Barbara in geology. My son's actually a Duke grad.
Oh,
and then my daughter
Dookie.
is a UNC Chapel Hill grad.
Ooh, very cool.
I know, a divided family.
Oh,
A lot of rivalries going down
that
there.
Thanksgiving must have been awkward.
It's a fun. The Duke Carolina game's always fun.
Of course.
All right, well, Senator Hagan, we live in a day and age when it seems as though Republicans and Democrats appear to have a very hard time working together, and this is very discouraging for many independent voters. What would you say to a young independent voter, someone in college or something like that, who is fed up with the whole fighting that does not want to vote?
I think instead of just not wanting to vote, they should be looking instead at how to get more involved in the political process. My greatest frustration is the political gridlock. And that's why I was so proud of the fact that I was named the most moderate senator in the U.S. Senate, because I can work across the aisle to get things done. I think it is definitely frustrating. To me, I've done my best to get things done for North Carolina by working together, reinstating tuition assistance for our military service members. I don't care whose idea it is. If it's a good idea, Democrat or Republican, and it's good for North Carolina, I'm going to be right there. But I want to tell young people that the only way you can bring about change is to vote.
Absolutely.
And I think that's much more important now in wake of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision, which has opened up the door to this deluge of secret, undisclosed, non-transparent money that everybody in North Carolina was inundated with in this last election. And when you think that two men, David and Charles Koch, can come into the state of North Carolina where they don't live and drop over $35 million into one race, that is not democracy. And the way I look at it is the Supreme Court said that it's the First Amendment freedom of speech right that allows people to give this unlimited secret money. But what that, in effect, has done is, unless the two of you and your listeners have individually $35 million that you want to put on the bottom line and buy all that TV time, your First Amendment right of free speech has been muted because you can't come, you don't have that capability to get your message out. And so I really, really think the Citizens United decision is one of the worst Supreme Court decisions we've seen.
Now, Senator Hagan, this might seem like an age-old question, but what are some of the things that the Democrats and the Republicans should do in order to work together more effectively?
Just like what I do. I don't care whose idea it is. Let's work together. I was on the Senate floor this morning with Republican Senator Lamar Alexander talking about a newborn screening bill that we are working very closely on to see if we can't get that done in this next week or so. The women, Democrat and Republican, there are 20 women in the U.S. Senate now. We meet every 6 weeks for dinner, and that is excellent. There's also a bipartisan women's softball team putting together the House and the Senate women, and there's an annual game that goes against the women of the press. And it's actually a fundraiser for early detection of breast cancer. But my advice going forward is the Democrat and the Republican caucus, instead of having their two separate lunches every week, my suggestion is every 2 weeks that they meet together.
Wow.
Okay.
That's very, very good. What have you found to be the most rewarding part of your life?
My family. I have a fabulous husband. We've been married a long time, and we have, as I mentioned, 3 fabulous kids, 2 fabulous son-in-laws. I have one 1-year-old grandson, and then my older daughter I'm expecting a phone call any moment from her that she's ready to deliver her first child.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's awesome.
I know, it's pretty fun.
Well, Senator Hagan, during your time in the Senate, what was your most important issues that you worked on, and really the most rewarding ones that you got done, in your opinion?
I think you've got to look at when I came into the U.S. Senate and got elected in 2008. In 2009, in January, this country was hemorrhaging 700,000 to 800,000 jobs a month. That means, if 800,000 people were losing their jobs, the economic impact on the family, on the spouses, the children, the lifestyle, the community, we were in desperate shape. So being sure the fact that we did not go into a recession, unemployment, and then you look forward to where we are today, unemployment has dropped dramatically. Look at gas prices.
Very, very
last
true.
week, my husband and I spent like $2.50 for a gallon of gas. It is at an unprecedented low amount right now. And, the stock market's at an all-time high. Corporate balance sheets are better than they've ever been in many, 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 many years. So I think people need to recognize that. But I also think we recognize a lot of people, wages are stagnant. And so a lot of people don't feel the difference in the economy. Even though corporate balance sheets are an all-time high, wages are definitely stagnant. That's why we've got to to increase the minimum wage. Just in North Carolina alone, that would have a direct impact on 1 million people. And just in this last election in November, 4 states, Alaska, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Illinois, had state-sponsored initiatives to increase the minimum wage. So we need to do that. I think protecting our military, protecting our veterans. I come from a really strong military family. This is personal for me, and it is certainly a priority of mine in the Senate to be sure we do everything we can for our military and our veterans. I have 2 nephews right now on active duty. One's an F-15 fighter jet pilot. The other one's a Navy SEAL. So
wow.
I think about them, their families, their children, and the impact that has for our country. It's always enjoy talking to my nephews. And then investing in education. That's the third issue. The entire future of this country rests on our young people. And I think we as the state have been very derelict in the cuts that we've made to education. That's not good. We have got to look forward and have a vision. And if we don't have a strong education system, we are not going to have a strong state. So I think investing in education, we have to do that.
Agreed. Now, Senator Hagan, what are some words of advice you would give to someone who wants to perhaps follow a similar career path to yours?
Well, I think the first is, get involved in politics and in your community. Look what's going right, look what's going wrong, and if you just criticize it, you're not making any change. Get involved.
Very true.
It is so easy to volunteer on a campaign or advocate for a specific cause that you care about. Don't listen to the pundits on TV. Make your own decision. And don't just listen to one side of an issue. Otherwise, you are not going to be fully informed. And take your education seriously.
Very, very well said. Now, Senator Hagan, would you like to give a shout out to your family, friends, and our students at High Point University?
I think I started with that. I think High Point University is an excellent institution. I think the growth that has taken place, I really want to give a shout out to President Nito Quabain and the great work he and his team and his board of trustees have done. But it's all about the students. None of that would matter if it wasn't for committed students who are willing to work really, really hard, because the investment that the university, your communities, your families, that people are making in you, is because of our future. It's because of your future, and your voices matter.
Great. Well, Senator Hagan, thank you again so much for joining us. We understand you're extremely busy, and it was such a pleasure having you on.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It was an absolute pleasure.
All right. You have a nice day.